Every great story you've ever heard, every legend you've ever admired, and every person you've ever looked up to has one thing in common: they took a risk. Comfort never made history. Playing it safe never inspired anyone. If there is no risk, there is no story. Think about it. The moments that define us are never the easy ones. They're the times when fear was loud, doubt was heavy, and the odds were stacked against us. Yet we step forward anyway. That leap into uncertainty, that choice to do what scares us, is where the story begins. Risk is not about recklessness. It's about courage. It's about looking at a challenge that seems impossible and saying, I will not back down. It's about pushing past the voice in your head that says, stay comfortable, stay safe. Because the truth is, safety is silent. Comfort leaves no mark. But the risk of failure, of struggle, of pain, creates transformation. When you risk falling, you learn how high you can climb. When you risk failing, you discover how strong you really are. And when you risk it all for something that matters, you create a story worth telling. Not just to others, but to yourself. No risk, no story. Take the chance. Step into the unknown and write the kind of story that outlives you. Comfort feels good. It is soft, predictable, and safe. It gives us a sense of control, a feeling that nothing can go wrong as long as we stay within the walls we've built for ourselves. But here's the truth. Comfort never leaves behind a legacy. Nobody remembers the person who always stayed in their lane, who avoided the unknown, who chose routine over risk. Comfort creates no legacy because it produces nothing remarkable. It is the quiet road, the uneventful path, the story that begins and ends in the same place. When you look at the people who made history, who inspired generations, who pushed the limits of what was thought possible, you'll find a common thread. They were willing to leave comfort behind. They chose the discomfort of training when no one was watching. They chose the discomfort of failure when they stepped onto a bigger stage. They chose the discomfort of uncertainty when they had no guarantee of success. That willingness to trade comfort for risk gave them a story worth telling. The problem with comfort is that it whispers lies. It tells you that tomorrow will always be there. It convinces you that you can try later, that you'll take the leap when the timing is right. But the truth is, comfort keeps you stuck in the same cycle day after day, year after year. It doesn't demand anything from you, and because it demands nothing, it gives nothing in return. No growth, no transformation, no story. Risk, on the other hand, strips away illusions. It places you face to face with your fears, your doubts, and your weaknesses. That's why it feels uncomfortable. But it is in that discomfort where we begin to carve out something lasting. Risk forces us to stretch, to adapt, to push beyond the limits we thought defined us. And when we survive it, when we overcome it, we don't just come out with an achievement. We come out with a story that carries lessons, scars, victories, and the kind of power that inspires not just ourselves, but those who hear it. Think about the moments in your own life that you talk about with pride. Were they the times when everything went smoothly, when nothing challenged you? Or were they the moments when you were scared and sure, but chose to step forward anyway? Every memory that carries weight, every moment you share with passion is rooted in the times you left comfort behind. That is why comfort creates no legacy. It may protect you, but it also erases you. It may keep you safe, but it keeps you silent. The world doesn't need more safe stories. It needs bold ones. It needs people willing to take the risk, willing to chase the unknown, willing to risk failure for the chance to create something unforgettable. Because only when you step away from the false security of comfort do you begin to write a story that lasts. Risk is often painted as something dangerous, something to avoid, something only the reckless would chase. But the truth is, risk is the birthplace of transformation. Every time you step into uncertainty, every time you lean into something that scares you, you create the conditions for change. Without risk, nothing shifts. Without risk, you remain you already are, doing what you've always done. Transformation requires pressure, and risk is the spark that lights the fire. Think about what happens when you take on a challenge that feels beyond your reach. At first, fear creeps in. Your mind runs through every possible outcome: failure, embarrassment, exhaustion, pain. But once you move forward despite those thoughts, you tap into strength you didn't know you had. That is the power of risk. It pulls you into uncharted territory where you are forced to grow. The person you were yesterday can't handle the challenges of today, so you evolve. You adapt. You become someone stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Risk also exposes truth. It strips away the illusion of control that comfort provides. In the safe zone, you can hide behind excuses and avoid confronting your limitations. But when you take a risk, those excuses fall apart. You learn what you're made of, not in theory, but in practice. Maybe you fail. Maybe you stumble. Maybe you discover just how far you still have to go. But all of that is part of the transformation. Failure is not the end of the story. It's the chapter that teaches you the most. Transformation through risk is not just about the outcome. It's about identity. Every time you embrace risk, you're redefining yourself. You're saying, I am the kind of person who does not let fear dictate my choices. I am the kind of person who chooses courage over safety. That shift in identity builds momentum. And with every risk you take, you carve out a stronger version of yourself. And the beauty is, transformation doesn't always come in grand victories. Sometimes it's as simple as trying something you've avoided for too long. Sometimes it's standing up when you'd normally stay quiet. Sometimes it's taking that first step when the entire road ahead is unclear. These small acts of risk accumulate, and over time, they rewrite the story of who you are. Without risk, life remains flat, predictable, and static. With risk, it becomes dynamic, alive, and filled with the possibility of becoming more than you imagine. Risk isn't just the path to transformation. It is transformation. Because every time you choose to walk into the unknown, you're building a new version of yourself, a version that didn't exist before you took the chance. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. Comfort, on the other hand, is the easy option, the safe seat, the predictable path, the choice that demands nothing from you. When faced with a challenge, most people choose comfort because it feels secure. But here's the truth: comfort never leads to growth. Choosing courage over comfort is the dividing line between those who settle and those who rise. Every meaningful accomplishment begins with fear. Fear of failure, fear of pain, fear of being judged, fear of the unknown. Comfort says, stay here where it's warm, where you can't get hurt. Courage says, step forward anyway, because this fear is the very signal that you're on the edge of something bigger. The people who achieve the impossible are not those who never feel afraid. They are those who act in the presence of fear. Choosing courage over comfort means accepting that you might stumble, you might fail, and you might even face criticism. But those are temporary pains compared to the permanent regret of never trying. Regret grows in the soil of comfort. It feeds on hesitation and missed chances. Courage, on the other hand, plants seeds of pride and resilience. Even when you fall short, you carry the knowledge that you dared to try, and that knowledge becomes fuel for the next attempt. Comfort is deceptive because it looks harmless. It tells you, rest here, you've done enough. But when comfort becomes a habit, it slowly drains your potential. It robs you of the chance to discover how much strength you really have. Courage is the antidote. Courage doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees growth. Each time you choose courage, you expand your capacity. You prove to yourself that you can withstand more than you thought, and that realization changes everything. The difference between courage and comfort is the difference between surviving and living. Surviving means getting through the day with minimal risk, keeping everything predictable. Living means embracing the possibility of failure because it comes with the possibility of greatness. Courage transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones, not because they were fearless, but because they refused to let fear dictate the boundaries of their lives. In the end, comfort is temporary, but courage is permanent. Comfort fades as soon as the moment passes, leaving you exactly where you were. Courage lasts forever, shaping who you are and what you're capable of. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you're not just making a decision, you're writing your story, one that says, I chose to face fear, I chose to grow, I chose to live fully. Struggle is the one thing most people try to avoid, yet it is the very thing that shapes the strongest among us. Nobody likes the feeling of hardship, facing obstacles, fighting through pain, or dealing with setbacks. But these moments are the forge where resilience is built. Strength does not come from comfort or ease. It is born from struggle. It is the weight of challenge that gives us the muscles of perseverance, grit, and endurance. When you struggle, you are forced to confront limits. The easy road never demands more than what you already have, but the difficult road forces you to dig deeper. It pushes you into places where you discover reserves of energy, courage, and determination you never knew existed. Struggle strips away the unnecessary and shows you who you really are. You can't fake your way through hardship. It reveals your character in its rawest form. Think of any powerful story of triumph, and you'll notice it is built on a foundation of struggle. The setbacks, the failures, the sleepless nights, the pain, those are the parts of the journey that make the victory meaningful. If there were no struggle, the victory wouldn't carry weight. It's the battle that gives the win its value. The person who earns their success through struggle wears it differently than the one who stumbled upon it by chance. One carries pride, the other carries luck. Struggle also teaches humility. When you face challenges that knock you down, you learn that you're not invincible. You learn respect for the process, respect for growth, and respect for the effort it takes to rise again. That humility makes you more aware, more grounded, and more grateful when progress comes. It's easy to take things for granted when they come effortlessly, but struggle engraves gratitude into your heart. Most importantly, struggle creates resilience. Each time you go through a challenge and come out the other side, you add another layer of toughness. The next time life throws something at you, you remember the battles you've already fought, and you know you can fight again. The pain you endured yesterday becomes the armor you wear tomorrow. Struggle is not a punishment, it is preparation. It equips you with the strength to face not just one challenge, but all the ones that are yet to come. Avoiding struggle may seem like the easier choice, but it comes at a cost. A life without struggle is a life without strength. It may be smoother, but it is also weaker. Struggle sharpens, polishes, and hardens you into someone capable of carrying more than you ever thought possible. Every scar, every setback, every obstacle you overcome becomes proof that you are stronger than your circumstances. So when struggle comes, and it always will, don't curse it, don't run from it, face it, embrace it. Because struggle is not your enemy, it is your greatest teacher, and through it, you gain the strength to write a story that no comfort zone could ever give you. Every single day, you are writing the story of your life. Whether you realize it or not, every decision, every action, every hesitation, and every risk taken becomes a line in that story. The truth is your story is your choice. Nobody else holds the pen. Not your circumstances, not your past, not the opinions of others you. And the story you write is shaped by the choices you make in the moments that matter most. Some people let fear write their story. They hesitate, they hold back. They stay silent when they should speak, and they step aside when they should step forward. Those choices pile up, and years later, the story they hold is filled with what ifs and regrets. They look back and realize they allowed life to happen to them instead of authoring it for themselves. That is the story of hesitation. A story unfinished, a story untold. Others choose differently. They choose boldness. They choose to step into opportunities even when they feel unprepared. They choose to try even when the outcome is uncertain. They choose to live as if each moment carries weight. These choices may bring failure, they may bring pain, but they also bring growth, courage, and meaning. And when the pages of their life are written, the story is one of risk, resilience, and relentless pursuit. It's a story that inspires, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. Your story is not about avoiding mistakes. It's about how you respond to them. It's not about waiting for the right circumstances. It's about creating them through action. Too many people wait for the perfect time to begin, but the perfect time never arrives. The only perfect moment is the one you choose to act in. Every choice you make in that moment becomes the plot of your story. Will it be the story of someone who always waited or someone who dared to begin? The beauty of this truth is that you don't need permission to change the narrative. No matter where you've been, no matter how many chapters have already been written, you can always choose differently today. You can choose to turn hesitation into action, fear into courage, and doubt into determination. That decision, repeated consistently, transforms the trajectory of your life and rewrites the story you'll leave behind. One day, people will remember you not for what you dreamed about, not for what you almost did, but for the choices you actually made. They'll remember the risks you took, the battles you fought, and the way you lived when the easy road was available, but you chose the harder one. That is the story worth telling, and it's yours to create. So ask yourself, when someone tells your story, will it sound like hesitation or boldness? Because every day, with every decision, you are choosing which one it will be. No risk, no story. It's more than just a phrase. It's a truth that runs through every life that has ever mattered. Without risk, life becomes a straight line, predictable, safe, and uneventful. There is no tension, no breakthrough, no moment that defines you. Risk is what gives a story its heart, its conflict, and its triumph. Without it, the story ends before it even begins. Risk is the leap when you don't know where you'll land. It's the yes when doubt screams no. It's the decision to keep moving forward when every part of you wants to retreat. And that risk, no matter how small, is what transforms ordinary days into extraordinary chapters. The stories that inspire us, the ones we tell for generations, always come from people who dare to risk something, sometimes everything, for a chance at more. But here's the paradox. Most of us want the story without the risk. We want the glory without the grind, the triumph without the trial, the victory without the possibility of defeat. Yet it doesn't work that way. Risk and story are inseparable. If you want a life worth remembering, you must be willing to risk failure, discomfort, and even heartbreak. Because the greater the risk, the greater the story that follows. Risk also forces you to live fully awake. When you're stepping into the unknown, every sense sharpens, every moment carries weight. You're not just existing, you're alive in the true sense. Risk brings urgency, clarity, and intensity that comfort can never provide. It is in those moments of risk that you realize what truly matters, what you're truly capable of, and what you're willing to fight for. And let's be honest, life itself is a risk. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. None of us are promised another chance. So the real danger is not in taking risks, but in avoiding them. Because when you avoid risk, you avoid growth. You avoid discovery. You avoid writing a story that's worth telling. So if you want your life to mean something, if you want to leave behind more than just routine and repetition, you must embrace risk. Step into the unknown. Take the chance that scares you. Say yes to the opportunity that might break you, but might also build you into someone unrecognizable in the best way. No risk, no story. That is the truth. And the question you must ask yourself is simple. When the final chapter of your life is written, will it be a story worth telling? Or will it be a story that never took a chance, Never left the comfort zone, never risked it to matter. The choice is yours right here, right now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Step forward into risk and write the kind of story that the world will never forget.